Good morning, everyone. I know it's Sunday morning. I think it's like 10 to 7. But I said just let me share this. During the week, I had to go to the U.S. Embassy in Tbilisi to renew my passport. You know that my passport expired is that I'm running out of blank pages. So I went in there. While going through the process, I saw on the wall a posting something about voting. So I asked the representative, and she said, yes, is that you don't have to, if you apply for mail-in vote and you get the form, when you finish signing up the form, just come and drop the mail at the embassy, because she said there would be a box there that you could put it in and it would mail out. Because I was even telling her it's just the day before, I went to the embassy on Thursday. It was Tuesday and Wednesday, I looking at flights about getting home back to New Jersey in order to vote in October, because they got early voting. Because I'm not certain about the mail situation in Georgia, and I was not taking chance with my vote. So anyone who's listening to this recording or listening to this video and you are away from the US, why not check with your embassy or your consulate? This was the weird thing about it is that I look at mailing in Georgia, and I had this whole thing that the embassy is not accepting ballots and all of these sort of things. But sometimes in the case of those websites, it is not up to date. So information isn't there. I saw this big sign in the consulate, and she even told me, she said, oh my, she was surprised that I was so excited about voting. And she showed me on her screen, like at her window, there was a sticker in the corner that was turned inward. She's supposed to turn it outward, and she said she's supposed to be telling people about voting, and she forgot. She said, oh, I have to go and tell my supervisor how you were so excited about voting. So that might be the same case with wherever you are. Get with your consulate and ask them if it's possible for you to drop your ballot there and then they mail it out. Because their mail will be going out through a diplomatic process. So it won't be the UPS or whichever country you're in, they mail. Secondly, I saw they have a lot of talk online about persons leaving the US before the election. I understand. But something could I share with you is before you leave, if possible, look in New Jersey, the early voting starting October the 25th. Check wherever you are. You could book your ticket for the night of the first day of early voting or the second day. Please do not look at all the confusion which you should be concerned about and not vote. Look at this situation. Wherever you go, especially if you're depending on any income from the US, your income could be affected. If you have parents or you are with Social Security, it would definitely be affected. Thirdly, even if you don't have parents or you don't have no one in the US that is dealing with Social Security, you don't have no investment in the US, you're not looking for Social Security, you're not living on no retirement on the US. If you are thinking that wherever you go, you're going to work remote and that particular company is in the US or they got a head office in the US, chances are you could be affected. I'm out here. I can't stand the craziness there. And I'll advise anybody, if they want to or if they have it in them or they could afford to, you could escape the whole initial madness. That would be happening. For certain it would be madness. But please do not look now and don't look at things on a long-term basis and decide to leave without voting. Your vote is very important. And we tend to say our vote doesn't matter. Is our vote have us to an extent in this country the way it is? Because most of us, let's be honest, do not vote. We good at complaining, we good at things not right, and we blame it on everybody else. But we have one simple job that we could do. Providing you're 18 years old, providing you don't got no criminal record, you're not a felon, which we need to start looking at that too. Just register and vote. And if you just exercise the one thing, look, for instance, the amount of time that we spend on social media, we following up something, we writing something, we watching cat videos, we looking at cooking videos, we listening to some gossip. If we put all of that together and you decide, I'm going to go and sit down. Okay, they're going to tell me then take 6 hours. You know what? This 6 hours sacrificing is worth so much more. 4 years of my life, and not only that, longer than that. Because all those changes is going to not affect us right now. It's going to affect us for generation. And if you are a U.S. citizen, and that little blue book give us so much a privilege outside of the U.S. Look at this scenario. We're in a confusion over there. We start banning this and we start banning that. We get out of NATO. We don't want this alliance with this body, and we don't want the alliance with the other person. All the alliances over the years and all the agreements that we make, when we start pulling out, those other countries don't have to accept us like that. So we could leave the US and be there hanging out in Thailand or wherever it is. And then they look at it. We don't need to have these people here. Number one, the money isn't as good as before because they got problems with the money. The Social Security cut in half or a quarter, or whatever the case might be. So that lucrative advantage that we have now, we lose that. Secondly, they don't have the political alliance anymore. You could do then American anything. They're going to complain to the embassy. Who cares? It's right now we going to complain. The person at our embassy contacting the embassy of the other country, or somebody in Washington, D.C. calling up the consulate, the ambassador of that country, and have to meet and explain why so much Americans is being treated like this and why so much Americans is treated like that. When we start pulling out of those alliances and we start dismissing the people, they don't have to. So we could escape and we could establish whatever it is, and then we could start be treated crappy. For anyone who's listening that is not an immigrant, you won't understand. I am an immigrant. I went through the immigrant experience, and to an extent I still do. So if you're an American, you're born in America, you never was an immigrant, you cannot understand this. But if we do not vote, and we do not vote right, you would end up in that immigrant situation. Because a lot of people might not like Americans. But you know what? Why they don't do certain things, especially on a national level. In the street, somebody might be mean to you or whatever the case might be. But you know why the governments don't participate in it? Because of the consequences. When we start getting out of this and getting out of that, and this body is a problem, and the body is a problem, and we money start losing value, they don't have that alliance. They don't have to. So wherever you escape to, the little blue book that was an asset become a major liability in all respect. So let's look at things in a long-term basis, because currently most of our leaders ain't exercising no common sense. And you could say perhaps they don't care because it won't bother them. They have enough resources, they have a lot of homes around the place, and based on their affiliation, it won't bother them. But the majority of us, it would. So if you want to leave, yes, I'll advise you find out what is the date of your early voting in whatever state or city, wherever you are. And who knows, you mightn't book it the same day because you might be tired for the wait. But book it a day or two after, pick up your Georgie bundle and leave the country. But please do not leave without voting. Take it from me. If there's a change, you would live to regret it. We've seen it. It is written. So it's not like a case, I don't know. No, it's written. And the beauty about it, they coming out and supporting what is written. You see how God is good to us? He gave us everything. life or death, and then he tell us choose. So no one down the road have no excuse. Okay, we could start to make excuse, because somebody gonna find an excuse, right? But really and truly you don't. You will be clutching at a straw. It is right in front of you, and you're choosing to ignore it. So leave, or plan to leave. But please, do it after you vote. This isn't a case of who this and who that. It's a case, just like how the others thinking about themselves to an extent, you need to start thinking about your own self. Think about your pocket. Think about your parents now who might be getting Social Security, whether they're flourishing with it or they're not. And if they're flourishing with the Social Security, it would not remain the same. It will be reduced. You will get pennies on a dollar. The retirement funds would be affected, because when the place get chaotic and everybody start pulling out the money, whether they like it or not, the market, then it's going to really crash. You hear people speculating, oh, this and the market is going to crash. Since now I was a scout and the market isn't crashing. When you see there's a confusion and people start heaving out the money, that is what really make the market crash. And then you would be affected. I would be affected. Our children will be affected. I got a little chocolate colored granddaughter. She's an American. She would be affected. That's why I'm here this Sunday morning playing with you guys. It's easy to sit down, oh, let's escape this and don't escape that. This, no. Every one of us would be affected, whether we want to or not. So let's decide collectively that we're going to look at things on a long-term basis. Make sure that you register. Wherever you are, you sign up for mail-in vote, which I did. But as I said, after the Georgia mail I wasn't certain about, I had all planned to get to New Jersey, although I didn't want to. I cannot afford not to. I might not want to, but I cannot afford not to go and vote. And if you're there, or even if you're away, check with your consulate. Check with your consulate to see if they have a box that you could turn your mail in and let them send it through the diplomatic process. So, that is my views this Sunday morning. Hope you have a blessed day. I know persons don't like to speak about politics, but what do you think our father would have done? You don't think it was politics when he went into the temple and turned up the table where people was gambling on? That was politics. But he never shied away from something that was wrong. He never did. Although he had a lot of things on his plate because he had a short time in which to execute stuff, he never backed away from it. And as a believer or a non-believer, we have a right to. As I tell people, the only reason I initially became a citizen of the United States is to vote. I didn't have to take citizenship. I'm a citizen of another country. But I took up citizenship because I wanted to vote. Afterwards, I realized the benefit now that I'm traveling and enjoy the benefit of having a U.S. passport. But how things are changing now, I look like even countries like Guyana. You know what countries I visit now that if I had my Guyanese passport, right now I could visit without a U.S. passport? It is increasing because it's a concerted effort for people to move away from the U.S. They're doing everything. And when we go and get ourselves in this whole big shamble, it will give them good enough reason. And all of us who here on the international street that is flash with blue book, we will be up for grabs. Because there's no one to represent us. There's no diplomatic immunity and nobody to argue on our behalf. Because we exit from everybody else. So let's look at things on a long-term basis. You got children, grandchildren, your parents, wherever it is. So let us exercise our right to vote. And as I said, check wherever you are, the consulate. Ask them if they have a box that you could drop your mail-in vote. You cannot go and vote at the place. This is what the representative told me. But if you bring your mail-in ballot there is a box that you could put it in, and then they will send it through the diplomatic bag. So take care. Everyone have a blessed Sunday. Bye.